This slide that you're seeing up here is kind of exciting, actually. At least to me it is. It's very recent for us, and that's web portal integration. You know, I was thinking as Tanner was talking, I have to see how I make sure I say this politically correct. Isn't there something out there behind every successful man is a good woman? Or maybe it's another man, but bottom line is that for me to be successful is that I've got a team, not a big team, but I got Tanner and I've got Ryan Yackel. For those that have not met Ryan, he's in the back room. That's kind of where he likes to stay sometimes, out of sight. But you know, I've told this story before, is that when a problem exists with a client or we're trying to solve a solution for a client, I don't think it can be done. I go to Ryan. He's my go-to guy. I say, I bet you can't do this. You know, that just irritates the snot out of him, and before I know it, he's behind closed doors and he's doing this, he's doing that. He says, you got some minute? Come on in here and take a look. Well, I found out I'm not the only company that has that kind of person, because Seth and I were talking about that on the way down this morning, and he said, that's Paul Rice. Paul Rice is the main programmer at Paperless, and he's motivated the same way. Just basically, if it can't be done, I'm going to figure out a way. So the web portal, we actually use a back-end product for that I'm going to talk about in another slide. But what we're talking about is being able to serve information up via the web that comes out of your accounting system or it can come out of anywhere else. And it can deliver documents from your paperless vault. We're going to show you what this looks like in a moment. Take reports out of the accounting system. We're seeing a lot of that being done by lots of people now. It's not interactive. It just basically allows you to call up reports. It has web pages for completing forms that can be emailed based on criteria. It has users can basically be internal or external. By that, they could be employees or it could be vendors or clients that log in. The web pages are customizable. You can add even text. You can add text to the web pages so that if you want to deploy a message to your employees about what a holiday is coming up or something like that, you can easily modify it yourself. You don't need us to do that. Documents, when you pull the documents up, they can be reviewed on the screen. They can be printed or they can be saved to a file on their computer that they're actually logging in on. A web server is required for this, and I'm going to give you some examples of how we think it might be used. I'm going to tell you about one that we're actually working on. You can provide vendors access to open invoice reports. You could, so that you don't, if they want to know what you're showing, or rather than calling your AP department, just say basically log into the web and see yourself. You can have access to your open invoices that we have for you. Or we could show what invoices aren't in Timberline yet that are still in Paperless, so they can see both places. Provide vendors ability to retrieve copies of their checks. If they lost a check, you want to see the latest check we sent you. You could allow field employees to print job cost reports. You can all see what I'm going down through here. And the one that's the second or third one to the last is a project we're doing right now for Gothic. And that is to provide employees access to copies of their payroll checks, direct deposits, and W-2s. So we just inked this deal with Paperless 2 days ago. We demonstrated how it would be done. And Elizabeth, God bless her soul, the way she is on looking for efficiencies, I think at Gothic they always have a meeting at least once a month that says, what can you bring to the table an idea for cutting down overhead. So Elizabeth, with 1,000 employees, I think, Elizabeth, you have to tell me what that number was, but with 1,000 employees, printing out the stubs, you still have to print stubs out whether they do direct deposits or not, because you got to provide them with a stub. Just payroll checks and direct deposits alone, what was that costing you? Now we have the stamps, we have people's time, and we got the printing.
My ROI that I came up, just the payroll clerk time alone in a year, more than paid for the cost of this. And total time of distribution to the field was over $57,058 a year cost. That's what I calculated, conservative.
Okay. So what we're doing is that when they go to do their payroll now, they're going to actually print the payroll stubs. There's going to be no paper involved. They're printing the payroll stubs directly into Paperless. Then they own the program called AutoBatch, and because the payroll check is very specific and very clear when you print it in, it's not going to have a scanning problem. or be, where it's crooked. It's going to always be the same. All we need to pick off of that is the check number and the employee number, okay? And so they can print 800 stubs into it and then run it through auto batch. And how long would that take, Ryan, to run through that?
800 stubs? Maybe an hour.
Yeah. But what it does, it automatically indexes. There's no human intervention. It's reading the indexes off of the document using OCR. We've told it where the check number is, we told it where the employee number is, and you just basically print it and then go start auto batch, and they're all in there. We're going to do the same thing with W-2s. Now, I was a little bit questioning that because Elizabeth doesn't want to send W-2s to employees this year, right?
Well, terminated we have to.
Terminated you have to, but what we're going to do is we've already tested this. We're going to print W-2s out of Timberline directly into the vault, and then it'll be indexed, and employees are going to be able to log in and get their W-2s. And they'll be able to get their W-2s for as long as she chooses to have them be able to get them. So employees invariably lose them. Employees have a wrong address. Now they're all going to get informed that to get your W-2s, you're going to log in January. You'll be able to pull your W-2s up, and you'll start being able to pull up your direct deposits. It was an easy sell, I think, and that was just another use of, you could use it for tenant statements. You could use it for all kinds of different things. Again, you could allow, another thing I thought about, Elizabeth, was allowing employees to access PTO or vacation hours available, have a report. So rather than having them ask us for it, just call it up yourself. Or you can ask for, or you could also have a form on there. We talked about forms that Tanner was talking about, but we could also have forms where they could fill out forms and then have them automatically routed to the right person by email. Got that right, Ryan?
Yep.
Okay. How do I did you cut the shortcut? I want to show a quick demonstration of this. Okay. Okay.
The vendor portal.
Maybe, maybe not.
No, it'll work.
Don't
Huh?
click it.
I
So I do the same thing you did, right?
Patient.
All right. So the idea here is this is the we can create. This was a quick interface we did for this presentation, but you can basically get to this. You give your employees instructions or vendors instructions of what the shortcut is or how you get to the web portal, and then they're going to be asked to log in. Okay. So it basically to make it easy on a vendor, we're going to give them the vendor ID because that's an easy thing to verify whether they're there or not. And you said 100, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then my password.
100.
Okay.
High security.
Type security. So as soon as they log in, it shows them, this is actually coming out of Timberline, it shows them where their outstanding invoices right now that are inside the accounting software. Gives them a little ledger card to show that. And then it shows them the insurance status. They can go click on invoices on hold, lien release is required. And if they want to see recently cut checks, they click on this. And it's going to come up with the checks. So it's going to, now what it's doing is to see the copies of the checks, they had to be in paperless. And we just pulled the description out of paperless. We have a whole list here. They click on that, and they can either save it or open it. Now this is just a check that we made that we didn't print a real paper, a real check, but then they can call the actual checks up. So that was kind of a quick demonstration. But if you think of the things that you could get off that you could automate, the web portal is big. It's fast. It's quick. And we can pull anything out of paperless. We can pull anything. We can make documents available. So just think about the things that you can offload. Say vendors, you don't call us about where the status of an invoice is. Just log into the portal. You'll see where it's at if we even got it. And then if it's not there, give us a call. But otherwise, this is where you should go first. And if they don't follow that instructions and they call you and say where we stand, your first question would be is, have you looked at the portal yet? And start to get them trained not to basically call in. Because there's a lot of time lost in the company. I know this, answering outside questions during the day. If we can push it somewhere else, that'd be great. So these are a couple ideas. You guys just think of this. And this is one of the ideas I want you to take away today. Think about it. I think the possibilities are endless of how you could use this. And the security can be, you need a web server. Most people have a server. But even if you had to get a web server, it's just basically built into the operating system. And the security is very tight. We worked with, actually we have a company here today I should introduce. Bravera is an IT company that we ran into during actually we saw them at Kisco first.
Cisco.
And then they became the champions to get Gothic out of trouble.
They're not the ones not to be named.
They're not the ones not to be named. Right. And so, you know, we've been very impressed with them. And then Dave did some legwork for us on this project as well, because obviously, you know, Elizabeth is a very tough HR person, very high in security. So what we had to make sure of is with this new opening up opening up their accounting system to external capabilities, that the security had to be tight. We had to make sure that we can, you know, people can't break through the firewalls and all the other things that beyond me, whatever they do, whatever Bravera does. But Bravera basically is going to deploy that by December 1st, and then we're going to have this up and going, at least for their W-2s and payroll, by the end of the year. So, but the brainchild behind this one is Ryan. So whenever you guys want a special project around paperless, don't call me, just call Ryan.